Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Justin. We're back at the movies for another review. This one is going out to my best friend Dan, who, after years of knowing him, still doesn't get it. We're going to be doing the 1990 sci-fi action comedy, whatever genre you want to call it. There's probably like 37 different genres with this movie. Total Recall, starring Arnold Schwarzenegger, Susan Sarandon, Ronnie Cox, Michael Ironside, and Rachel Ticotin. I love to bust his chops because we've literally sat down and watched this movie frame by frame and had me try to explain the plot to him, and he still doesn't get it. Right, Dan? I love this movie because I'm a Paul.Verhoeven fan. Paul.Verhoeven directed it, and this was literally his follow-up to RoboCop. And both are very similar in that they're futuristic tales. A lot of his movies, RoboCop, Total Recall, Starship Troopers, they're futuristic critiques of capitalism. And that's what this movie is, just like RoboCop. It's, corporate greed is plastered everywhere for you to see, for you to give them their money. Here you have a scene in this movie where Arnold Schwarzenegger's character, for people who haven't seen this movie, I'm going to try to explain it as simple as possible. You don't see Arnold Schwarzenegger as a bad guy, but he was a bad guy. And his bad guy best friend erases his memory and gives him a new one and plants him in a environment that will hopefully eventually allow him to infiltrate his arch nemesis. Somebody who could ruin his fortune and fame and wealth and power. So he wants to get what is essentially good guy Arnold to infiltrate his enemy, get all his secrets, then they can kill all the good guys and bring bad Arnold Schwarzenegger back. So they set up these, you find out that everything that happens in the movie, the bad guys plan for it to happen. What they didn't plan on is when Arnold Schwarzenegger becomes a good guy, he likes being a good guy. He doesn't want to be a bad guy. Even though he might like being a bad guy if they fixed his memory, he doesn't want that. He wants his babe, Melina, Rachel Ticotin. He doesn't want the blonde, boring wife, Sharon Stone. He wants the sleazy brunette instead of the model blonde. He likes that. He likes an edginess to him, not being a stiff, prick, which is what he would be if he was with the bad guys. So all this stuff that's meant to happen, and then, oh, hey, Doc, gonna have a party at my place later today. Make sure to remind him when he wakes up. And, the deaths in this movie are brutal. There's one particular scene where he's in a chair, and it's Arnold Schwarzenegger. The man has muscles on top of his muscles. Rips the arms that are bolted in and just right into the dude's neck. That's something Paul.Verhoeven never, ever skimped on. Was gore, blood, just the sicker the better. And, I wouldn't be hard-pressed to find, people, if you're talking, Hostel and, future movies like that, if they weren't inspired at least a little bit by Paul.Verhoeven's, bloodlust. There's a famous story of RoboCop. The first scene in the movie that was filmed is when Clarence Boddicker is brought into the police station and spits blood. Just give me my fucking phone call. First scene in the movie. And Clarence Boddicker, the man who played Boddicker, tells the story. He's like, I'm gonna spit blood. I'm like, oh yeah, spit blood. That'll be wonderful. So he loved to amp up the gore in his movies, and it's a fun movie. It certainly doesn't take itself too seriously. When you've got women with 3 breasts walking around, and you got Benny with 5 kids to feed, and it's just so silly. It's so over the top. It's an enjoyable movie. It's for a movie in 1990. It had fantastic graphics. This was when technology was still really primitive in a lot of ways. You look at like James Cameron with his movies like The Abyss and then Terminator 2. That's where you start seeing all these like beautifully created movies, and you start seeing that. I mean, the Mars atmosphere in this movie is beautiful. There's so much good about this movie that it's hard not to like. So that being said, I'm gonna get my ass to Mars, and I'm gonna bring Total Recall with me, and I'm gonna bring its 7.3 score. It's a good movie. It's a fun movie. It's another one of those movies where you turn your brain off, you enjoy Arnold kicking ass, taking names, dropping one-liners for 2 hours. You get to see some smoking hot women. You get to see the bad guys dying in awesome ways. And then you go about your day. So, 1990, Total Recall, 7.3. I'm getting my ass to Mars. Dan, I'm sure you're going to be getting your ass to Mars. And when I get back, I'll see you guys again at the movies. Take care.